Buying a Lamborghini is not going to fix the internal problem. Are you really doing it for yourself, or are you doing it for external validation? Just because somebody's only willing to pay you $2,000 for something that you think is $4,000 does not mean that you are worth less. You get to choose in that moment whether you have overpriced yourself or undervalued yourself, or you are 100% worthy. Letting go of things you won't put up with any longer increases your worth. And this, yes, for all you people pleasers out there, this is one of the hardest things that you will do in your life. However old you are, it doesn't matter whether you are 20, 18, 46, 70, listening to this. It is never too late to go back to the remembering that you are 100% worthy, and it starts with saying,
welcome to Life by 8, your blueprint for designing your ultimate life. I'm Rebecca Grugan, your architect on this journey to building a life fully lived. Using our 8 Pillars to Human Wellness framework, we'll explore how to transform your everyday from ordinary to extraordinary. So let's go.
Today you get to hear my sexy, sultry, sick voice as we talk about self-worth. I know, enjoy. You're welcome. So, when we talk about self-worth, I want you to picture a baby, right? I want you to picture a baby being born in Australia or in Africa or in Palestine or in America, anywhere in the world. And whether you decide that baby is ugly or not, that baby is born inherently worthy, completely whole, perfect and complete as they are. And as we grow, the world starts to define our value based on our gender, our genetics, our skin color, our parents, how much money we had, what type of life we were born into. But if you can picture that baby, and as they grow up, they chuck tantrums when they don't get what they want. See, the thing is, as a baby and growing into a toddler, we have high expectations. We demand attention and we demand things that we need. And from about the age of 2 or 3, and if seriously unlucky, then earlier, we start to learn that it's actually not socially acceptable to think that the world revolves around us, right? So we go from being born 100% perfect, whole and complete to starting to adjust our behavior or change the way that we show up so that we can start to get that external validation from others. And so if you grew up in a household where your parents fought a lot, you might find that you crack jokes when things are awkward in a social scenario right now, right? But as a child, you may have learnt how to put on a show, to dance or to tell jokes, or to tell mum one thing and to tell dad the other thing, so that they would love you more, so that you could change the vibration and the state of the energy in the house. And sometimes maybe we would do things like play sport and be really great at it to get the attention from our fathers or our parents that, they love us because we scored the goals, or that we're the best on ground, or that we are academically smart and successful. We start to make decisions in our life based on being socially accepted, but seen as worthy from those that we love. And so self-worth goes from being 100% perfect, whole, complete to this learning of, I need to be this, I need people to think this of me, I need to own this, I need to have this much money so that people will think this of, and then therefore I will be worthy. Right? So what happens is we bind the energy into self-worth, we chuck into that energetic field, we put in net worth, we put in external value, we put in external worth, external validation, all into one, and we make that self-worth. And then we start to make decisions from as early as 2 based off of that. And so one of the things I want to speak into as I've learnt about energetics and put this into play in not only my lives, but the teenagers I work with and the children that we have at our centres, is when you start to learn how to unbind energy, it's an unlearning to get back to remembering that 100% perfect, whole, complete worth. Self-worth is separate to your net worth. So you can have people with high self-worth and low net worth. Net worth is your assets, take away your liabilities, equals your net worth. And so People can be really, really happy and completely know and love themselves and have fuck all money or assets, right? But you can also have the opposite. You can have people who have high net worth individuals who absolutely doubt themselves and think that nothing is possible and they're never good enough, right? This happens. There is literally sports stars who talk about the only reason they do the sport they do, all they were chasing was the validation from their parent. And they don't really love the sport that they do, but they did it and they made it to the highest level possible. People get the gold medal and then slip into mental health and struggle because all of their worth was attached to that. And so your net worth is separate to that self-worth. And I'll go through this in the episode about starting to come back to that remembering of 100% worthy and how to separate this out, right? So the magic happens when you work on your self-worth alongside your net worth, not entangle them, not bind them together. And so when we focus on our internal worth, we start to actually come back to that remembering. However, a lot of people focus on that external worth first. And the more stuff that you have does not mean more people will love you for real. The changing of your actual belief about how much you're worth starts with already knowing that you were born 100% worthy. And so what can happen here is you start to remember those moments of joy, those moments of flow, those moments where you were completely and wholly yourself and how much joy you had in those moments. And you almost have to go through this every single day. You have to go every single day, I am 100% worthy. And not just an affirmation, it's getting back to that knowing. It's not a belief. It's the knowing, right? And that's why I wanted you to start by remembering what it's like when you see a baby and you're knowing that they are 100% worthy, perfect, whole, and complete as they are. And so then the value inherent from birth, your value as a human is what you were born with. And this is not anything that anybody can take from you. People can't give you something that is going to get you back to that remembering. People can't take anything from you to diminish that self-worth. The journey to remembering does not happen overnight. It starts with the small things, like dressing in what makes you happy. And if you've seen more than one episode, you will know that I will dress in whatever the fuck I want, and it makes me really happy. It could be as little as actually moving away from your desk to eat because you know that that serves you. Instead of caring about the fact that your boss is going to walk past and you look committed because you're eating lunch at your desk. Right? Put yourself first. What do you need? It's the small things that bring you back to that remembering, and it is not going to happen instantly. Right? But even watching your favorite TV show. If people demonize and talk about Netflix and all these things about wasting time, great. Though also they are shows and there are things that can actually bring you joy and help you increase your frequency. You actually know internally whether you are using it as a procrastination tool or wasting your time or if it serves you. But this is all about remembering that worthiness you were born with because nobody else can do it for you. What I want to speak into is if you were to understand energy and know that we all have an energy field. And so I've mentioned in previous episodes, but I'll mention it again now, is when you walk into a room or somebody walks into a party that you're at, right, and you find that the whole energy vibe drops. There's been an energy that's come into the space that's affected everybody else. And there's also when that person arrives, and you could be that person, where you arrive and then the party lifts up, right? It's your impact. It's everybody's energy fields impacting each other. So if you can imagine that you have an energy field, and just for this I guess, visualization is imagine that you're in the middle of an energy field that is square. So you're in the middle of a square and you have room in front of you and room behind you. And if everything's energy and everything's data and our thoughts are not our own, when I say things like blue elephant, it will come at you from a direction. That direction might be front, behind, above, wherever it is for you, it will be different for a lot of people, for everybody. Though when I say I'm not worthy, where is that for you? right? And then when you have that energy, when you can imagine what that feels like and visualize that, I want you to then start to separate it. I want you to go, okay, I know where it is in my energy field. Now, if I actually intentionally separate that into 3 smaller parts, what does it feel like? Most of the time, it will feel less impactful, right? It'll start to feel like it's not such a big deal. Now, you may not be able to fully 100% believe that you're perfect yet, but that's the unlearning, right? That's the unlearning and remembering of going back to you as a baby, perfect, whole, complete. Now, in your energy field, you get to choose, right? This is the magic of energy. You get to actually choose and play chess with your own life. So in episodes coming, there will be more information about internal, external. But if you are external, the things that are in front of you are going to charge you up. If you're internal, the things that are behind you are going to have charge. That's what puts you into an energy-rich state. So I want you to put I am worthy as its own energy, where it feels right for you in your energy field. Now, I want you to put net worth wherever that feels right in your energy field. And then guess what? You do the same with external value. Move them into your energy field to where it feels right for you. And if you want more information on this, keep listening to our podcast because there are so many episodes about the energetics, and this is literally transformative for you. The thing is, right, is that whether you're looking at this going, it can't be fucking that easy. Whatever thoughts you're putting to this, you're creating your reality, so cool. You don't have to listen to me. Except that the thousands of people that I've coached over the last couple of years, this stuff works for them. And so you get to be the outlier, whatever that word is. Cool, keep doing what you're doing if it serves you, right? But if this feels different, lean into it. Allow yourself to realize that actually, yes, your thoughts do create your reality. And when you can perceptual position yourself to realize that your thoughts are not your own, you get to start taking back your power. And so one of the statements in the summaries that we talk about is avoid external solutions for internal issues. What this means is if you haven't remembered yet that you're 100% whole and complete, buying a Lamborghini is not going to fix the internal problem. I know, I'm sorry. Might make you feel great. But are you really doing it for yourself? Or are you doing it for external validation? Do you want people to know that you have money? Are you using the luxury vehicle for external validation and to showcase your net worth to get people to buy your product? It's an interesting concept, hey, especially in this Instagram world that we live in, where everybody's doing things for external validation, but you can't fix those internal problems with the things or the people outside of you. The cool thing is that when you realize that you're 100% worthy without anything else, because you were born inherently with that, you realize you're not broken. So there's actually nothing to fix. It's pretty fucking cool. So what, you can't fix, you can't use external factors to fix internal problems. And so that separation of your self-worth to wealth is extremely important in this part, because when you separate your self-worth from your net worth, it can be difficult, but absolutely crucial. What the world is willing to pay you for what you do has nothing to do with your self-worth. You are 100% worthy. When you separate that energy, you realize that just because somebody's only willing to pay you $2,000 for something that you think is $4,000 does not mean that you are worth less. You get to choose in that moment whether you have overpriced yourself or undervalued yourself, or if you're the one who needs a reality check because basically what you're trying to charge, nobody wants, the market doesn't want it. And this is the part where people's mental well-being in business and entrepreneurship can get really fucked up. Because the thing is that they've attached their self-worth to this. But the market will dictate what you are worth. when it comes to the things that you do, the product or the service that you deliver, not you as a human being. And this is when people talk about, don't take it personally. It's just business.
Hey, stop for a second. I know you're in the middle of building your life. If you want help with that, I can help you. Whether you join our Architect program where it's working with me one-on-one, or our Build group container, which absolutely has incredible value and will help you design and build that life faster. You can also join us to understand and design your energetic blueprint before there's a 1-day, 2-day event. You can join us there too. There is multiple different ways you can work with us at different investment points. We would love to have you there to help you get, design, and build the life that you want faster. You can see the links below. Feel free to reach out in any DM, in any social media platform. I would love to hear from you. Now, get back to building that life.
Business itself inherently has parts of ourselves in it. We love what we do. We create it usually out of an impact that we want to have on the world. Some people will just build business for money, and that's cool in the short term, but it'll burn out in the end. But what I want to get to here is that what the world is willing to pay for you, if you keep getting rejected, no, have you actually done the work on your product or your service to make sure that the monetary value that you're attaching to it is actually realistic and that the supply and the demand is actually there, right? So that's a different business concept, but it is one of the biggest things that I see people do in this world when it comes to business is that they put their self-worth attached to the price that they put on things, and then get really, really deflated and affected mentally when people don't pay for the product that they're putting out there. And, it can be really difficult to do this, and it can be really difficult to understand that you are already worthy, because as babies, our expectations are high and our needs for most of us were met. For a lot of people, though, in this world, those needs don't get met. And this leads to long-term trauma and issues that, it's not really something I'm speaking into today. But if you were a baby and you were born into an orphanage and you were left in a metal cot and you cried and nobody came to you, you stopped crying. And that's what I mean for most people in this world is that age of 2 when we learn that we have to start to change ourselves. But for some people, it happens from 2 weeks old. I have had clients in this situation and it is real. The rejection is real. And there is work to be done on getting back to that remembrance of worthiness. But for most of us, we were born into a values level 4 family, usually 1 or 2 parents. And when we were hungry and we cried, we usually got food. Right? If you got those base needs met, you were seen as 100% whole and worthy. It's just that you had to start to change yourself. When you became too much, too loud, too big, to move too much, whatever it was, you were too much of something. You started to shift yourself. That is what I want to come back to when it comes back to remembering who you are 100% worthy. And it is hard to do, right? It's the unlearning to please others, unlearning all the ways we traded our authenticity and our integrity to please other people. Learning how to say no and yes. Letting go of things you won't put up with any longer increases your worth. And this, yes, for all you people pleasers out there, this is one of the hardest things that you probably will do in your life. Starting to say no. Starting to live in alignment, consciously and unconsciously, with the person that you want to be so that you can get back to full authenticity, to live fully in your integrity, even when it pisses people off. And that all started decades ago for many of you. From 2 or 3 years old, you started to shift yourself. So if you were to start saying no more, you already know. But I ask you, if you were to know, what do you need to say no to that you said yes to? And for those of you who may live in more fear than others, what are you saying no to that you need to say yes to? This fundamentally will bring you back to your full remembering of being 100% worthy faster than anything else that you can do. The ability to make decisions for you and you only, it got lost in childhood. Our schooling system, our education system takes decision making away from you. It is why I am so passionate about Montessori, where children get to choose the work they work on. Because if you never learn how to make a decision, it's like you leave high school and all of a sudden have to start making decisions, and people wonder why teenagers don't know how to make fucking healthy decisions. They never got the chance to. And so, however old you are, it doesn't matter whether you are 20, 18, 46, 70, listening to this. It is never too late to go back to the remembering that you are 100% worthy, and it starts with saying no and yes more often. And I want to give you an example on this. The other week, I was at a training, and I'm pretty good at knowing my window of tolerance, knowing what my nervous system can tolerate, and it's quite wide, right? So my stress levels between parasympathetic and sympathetic states is quite great. And we'd done a heap of breath works, and then it was an evening and it was nighttime, and then we were going to jump off a cliff into this water, and it was like -2 degrees. And I'd been doing work for the last 2 or 3 years on trusting the male, right? And so we were being led by a male facilitator, and so I trusted the scenario. And part of me was going, well, why are we doing this at night? And then I have got friends who are paralyzed from jumping into creeks and not into water and then getting injured, right? So this was a big deal for me. We got to this place, it's nighttime, the moon is lighting it up, and then we get told to jump in. At this stage, we didn't know we were jumping in. And he said it was 3 meters deep. And it wasn't. Nobody got in to check. Nobody walked in to check what was in there first. So one of the guys just jumped in. And he was safe, right? But when he stood up, it went to his hips. It would have been maybe 1.2 meters deep, if we're lucky. And everybody jumped into that without knowing that. And I did it, even though every part of my being was screaming no. But I was like, maybe, Rebecca, maybe you're just like doing your old thing again where you're not trusting the male. And I jumped in and I did it twice because that's what we were asked to do. And then it was in the getting dressed and the walking back where I realized that I actually went against myself when I should have said no, when my whole entire being was telling me to say no. But I said yes. This is the cool thing when you get to become aware of this and you acknowledge it, is that the next decision I made was that there was no way I was doing any cold exposure the next day because I knew that my nervous system was literally on the brink of collapsing. And when my nervous system is there, as you've heard me say before, or if this is the first time, your foundation is everything. Your nervous system and your ability to communicate, yes or no, or what you want, or how you feel, is the foundation to the life that you want. And so the next day, I said, I've lost trust in the male last night, and I'm looking forward to getting that back today. And I also said that there's likely to be ice today, but I'm just letting you know that I'm saying no, because I know that if I get into that ice today, I will hit my window of tolerance and I will go over that. I know my body and I know what I need. And I stuck and I was really in my power when I said no. And fuck, it felt great. Right? But it's that awareness to know when to say no and when to say yes. And only you can get back to that remembering. And even when you know all of these things intellectually, like I do, you'll still have moments because we're all growing, right? And growth is in the uncomfortable. So start by saying no and yes to the really, really micro things. Like, are you buying that coffee today? Yes or no? Are you going to call your mum? Yes or no? Are you going to kiss your children to go to bed tonight? Yes or no? Start with the things that may seem insignificant, that give you back your power, and you'll start to get back to that remembering faster than any other way possible. Because when I want so many people to have that remembering of 100% worthiness and how it's not attached to anything outside of you, more than anything in this world. And so you have to be willing to feel your feelings, all of them. By avoiding them, they stay within our body and they can build up on top of each other. You need to feel, release, and come back to wholeness. And I was able to do that within a 12-hour time frame. And, I say 12 hours because part of that was sleeping. But I knew, and I had to feel that feeling. I felt that sort of like anger and then resentment towards the male and then acceptance of that that's how I felt. And then back to the fact that I'm in control and I get to say yes or no. But you need to feel those feelings the whole way through. What happens is we attach meaning to those feelings. The moment you start to say why is the moment you start to create a storyline for that feeling. Just allow the feeling to be a feeling. Allow yourself to feel it, release it, right? And so in summary, right, we've spoken about self-worth today. They are three separate things instead of one. Your self-worth is not linked to your net worth, and your net worth is not connected to your external worth, and so on and so on. And as I just mentioned, separating the story, so the meaning in the present, from the emotion you're feeling, and just feeling the feeling instead of attaching anything to it, is critical when it comes to your nervous system, but critical to coming back to keeping your self-worth separated from your net worth or external validation. So when you can actually start to do this, when you can know what you're feeling, and this is why emotional literacy, which I know you might be asking why this random thing is behind me. This is one of my first sculptures called Ego. But what it does is it teaches people emotional literacy and that you can feel two feelings at once, right? But the moment that you are feeling something and you start to ask why, just allow yourself to know that that's the moment you're starting to create a story. You don't need to do that. Just allow yourself to feel the feeling, feel it the whole way through in a safe way for you and for everybody else. Let it go and move on. That is actually how fast it can happen. But if you try to suppress it, that's when we start to get ourselves into trouble when it comes to remembering and unlearning. And so the remembering that I've spoken a lot about today is in remembering your 100% perfect, whole, complete. The unlearning is starting to separate. So some of you may or may not have done the separation, the unbinding of energy. And then the unlearning that we've spoken about to get back to that remembering. And then the rewiring, where it comes into the actions of starting to realize that a feeling is a feeling. It doesn't have to have a story. When you can do these, transformation happens. And so all of a sudden, right, I've used this on I'm not worthy. But imagine if you use this on any limiting beliefs that you had. Because ultimately, whenever you were born 100% worthy. And so all it is about is coming back to that remembering and knowing that nothing outside of yourself can give to that or take from that. Only you do. Only you can. And then when you get to that point of remembering, unlearning, and have rewired, it gets to be safe to want more. And most people want more in their life because we are about growth, we are about progress. But your nervous system has to feel safe. It has to have safety in the ability to hold more and to allow you to want more. And so if you are somebody who wants more, desires more, knows that there's a potentiality in you that's not been reached, start with this. Start by understanding that your self-worth is not attached to your net worth. And your net worth is not attached to external validation. And it is all separate. Start there. Because your nervous system will thank you for it. And you'll have a stronger foundation to build that life, that desire, that life of more becomes possible. So, as always, please share this with anyone you think it will benefit. Put it on all your socials. Reach out and let me know what your thoughts are and if there's anything else you'd like to know more of. You can reach out below as well if you'd like to have a conversation with me in more depth. And as always, thank you for being here.
Thank you for joining me living life by 8. If this episode hit home, brought value to you in any way, I would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform too. And don't let your journey end here. Connect with me and my community at Rebecca Grugan on all social platforms. I look forward to going deeper with you on your journey.